What's up, everybody? It's time for another edition of Restore the Floor, your podcast talking Detroit Pistons and some NBA stuff. He is Evan Jenkins, and I'm Stoney. And, we thought the floor was going to be restored in a grandiose fashion on Tuesday night. Unfortunately, the lottery luck that has plagued not just the Pistons, but the Detroit Red Wings came to place. And the Detroit Pistons will not get Victor Wembanyama. But not only that, they will be picking fifth. I understand the math, Evan. That's where they had the best odds. However, it's just so deflating. I wasn't going in there expecting to win the lottery. In fact, I even said I thought San Antonio was going to win it because for the pop thing, no conspiracy, but just a hunch. But the fact of the matter is that they're fifth just sucks.
It does. It absolutely does suck. Did you watch the video that the NBA put out last night?
Yeah, I thought it was fascinating, actually.
It's a weird process.
Yeah.
They do it 7 times, and if the Pistons would have been first in one of those 7 times, they would have been guaranteed a top 4 pick.
Right. Well, what's interesting is they hope to only do it 4 times.
Yeah.
But because like San Antonio, they show the ping. For those of you who don't know, you can check it out too on I think the NBA website. But anyway, and I retweeted it and other people.
Yeah, it's on Twitter everywhere.
It's everywhere. So basically what they do is they set up like you're watching the lottery on the Daily 5 or whatever, the Mega Millions, and they have the ping pong balls. There's 14, the teams that are in the lottery, and they come up every 20 seconds, and they have 4 numbers, and there's combinations of the 4.
Yeah.
And each team 1 through 3 had, I think, like 1,200 or something, whatever random number of combinations. And the first combination went to the Spurs. And then the next one went to the Hornets. And then the next one went to the Trailblazers. And then the next 2 went to San Antonio again. So those don't count.
Yeah.
Then one to Charlotte again. And that didn't count. And then finally Houston, which meant the Pistons didn't even come up.
Yeah, I know. It's unbelievable. But and watching it, I was at the Detroit Tiger game, so I'm watching it on my phone. I'm sure there was a few other people. I could tell the person behind me was doing it the same. And I kind of ruined it for him. I could tell that I was ahead of him because I went to my wife. I'm like, they got pick 5. And I'm like laughing. Right. And I could hear him like, oh, like he hadn't caught up yet.
Yeah.
But when watching it, when it's those final 4, I'm sitting there thinking to myself, I'm like, man, he'd be great in Houston with Green and that young core. And I'm like, man, he'd be great in Charlotte with LaMelo Ball and what's going on there. And I'm like, man, him and Dame, that would be something else. And then it's San Antonio. And then you look at San Antonio's roster and you're like, oh, he's playing with who?
Yeah.
Okay. But I am here today to bring a little positive outlook to not getting 1 overall.
Okay, but let me ask you a question before we get to that.
Okay.
Let's go through when we were watching the lottery.
I mean,
and everything's going perfectly. Usually there's a team like at the bottom.
Yeah, no, like
9.
Orlando is before 5 on both of them.
Everything was going perfect. And then they get to 5, and I like close my eyes, put my hands over my eyes, and Mark Tatum, the assistant commissioner, reveals, and I see the Pistons logo, and I just wanted to throw up.
I mean, it is kind of disgusting because
So what was your reaction? You laughed?
I laughed. I kind of expected it. I'm also a big pessimist where I kind of felt if they did get Vic, he was going to end up injured, and it scared the hell out of me. I'm going to be quite honest with that. I sat all yesterday trying to find an example of a player that was 7'2" taller that didn't have an injury history in the NBA. There's not really a great example out there where they didn't battle a foot injury, a knee injury, back, whatever.
You're saying what, 7'2"?
Yeah. There's not much out there.
No.
Like Shaq is like the one example, and he just kind of faded at the end of his career, but you can't compare those 2's bodies together.
No.
You know
Wilt,
what I mean?
I think, was 7'1", 7'2".
Yeah, but at the end, yeah.
He ran a lot too, but he didn't have an outside
But look how
shot.
far back we had to go.
Right.
I mean, in current day, I don't think that exists. Now, I'm not saying he's not going to be a great player, and I am going to root against him every step of the way now because he's not a Detroit Piston, and I kind of want to be proven right about that.
Did you think that the Spurs owner was as big of a dick as Jansen did?
I didn't see that part. What did he do?
He just saw, when he picked him, he went, yeah, and he was like this.
You're telling me Ben wouldn't have?
Of course. So I said, come on.
You got to get excited about that. Like,
yes.
Because can I get to my positivity?
Yes.
Because then this will lead into my next thing that I was then asked about my positivity. So I'm thinking on the way in this morning, I hear you guys talking, and I'm like, I wonder how many first overall picks. I started since the year 2000. So it's a good sample size of 22 years, right? Mm-hmm. How many have led that team to a championship, to an NBA title?
The team that drafted them.
The team that drafted them. So I went through it this morning when I got in, and it was 2. And I'm like, man, that's crazy. And one of them, it should only be 1.5.
Right.
Because it's LeBron James.
LeBron shouldn't even count because he went to Miami to win a championship and then came back.
It's only the fact that he won it with the team that drafted him.
Yeah.
Secondhand.
Okay.
And then Kyrie is the other one.
Right.
Because he was on that team.
Yes.
Right. So then I'm like, well, let's go back to the 90s and just see if there's anybody else. I found one more. Tim Duncan. So not the likes of Shaq, all of these great picks. So then Kenny Cott, who works with us here at 97, won the ticket. I'm telling it to him. He's down. He ain't hearing what I'm giving him. And I'm like, no. That's a good thing, Kenny. It doesn't always lead. Actually, history would suggest it will not lead to a championship.
Right. And there's some guys on that list that injury like Greg Oden.
Yep.
And there's some others, Michael Olowokandi. There are a lot of first round picks that just bombed.
Like, so he asked me, well, who has been as hyped as Victor has been coming into the draft? And well, obviously LeBron.
Correct.
Right? You cannot say anything against that.
And back in my day, Lou Alcindor.
Sure, Kareem. Well, and he won.
Yes.
But Shaq.
Right.
He had all the hype.
Yes.
He couldn't get it done in Orlando, had to go to LA.
Right.
Okay. Got to the finals.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not good enough here, right? Getting there is not good enough anymore. Right. And then the other one, I said, Kenny, there's an obvious one. It's Yao Ming.
Yeah.
And I go, in all reality, that was a bigger one because I hate to say it, basketball in China is way bigger than basketball in France.
Correct.
And the population there. I go, so in theory, did it work out for the Houston Rockets? Maybe. They got plenty of all-star appearances by
What was the furthest they ever made? I mean,
I'll look it up as we talk.
Yeah.
But just in my opinion, I don't think that it's not a bust like you think it is.
No.
Now
it's a major buzz kill, maybe not be a bust.
But I think that's only based on how this team has been put together, because the team has been put together, in my opinion, very poorly, that this would have made this team look so much better. I still don't think it's a playoff team with him.
No.
Because if you go look at Wembanyama's stats in the French league, he's like a 17-10 guy, right? Great. What does that translate to in the NBA with a huge learning curve?
Yes, exactly.
So am I wrong to try to bring positivity into this?
No. Yes, you are. Not because of the Wembanyama, though, but the whole thing that they're picking 5th. Because everybody seems to believe that it's a 3-player draft. And if you believe that, it's Wembanyama, it's at 1 tier. And even Troy Weaver said, well, this year, there's 1 tier and everybody else. People believe Scoot Henderson and Brandon Miller are the next 2, and everybody else after that, it's just basically, pick your poison or whatever, because you get the Thompson twins.
And one might be on the Pistons.
Right, and Cam Whitmore and Walker from the University of Houston. So it seems that Whitmore would be the really good fit because Miller's not going to drop. Although there's, people have suggested because of the gun thing, maybe Miller will drop a little, but I don't think he's dropping to 5.
Yeah, not at all. Okay, so the furthest that Yao Ming got was the conference semis.
Okay.
And that's not good enough.
No.
And listen, you can argue all you want. I know that their game is different. Yao Ming, 7'6", right? 7'5", whatever the hell he was when he came in.
Yeah.
Had a jump shot, had a post game. Everybody went at him. You could play defense, yada, yada. He still couldn't get that team over the hump. And this is a team that had Steve Francis. Right. Like, it was a pretty darn good team that he was on.
He had foot injuries, too.
Absolutely. And that's what worries me about Wembanyama, because
the difference, though, is
those are big flippers, dude.
Yeah. Well, Yao Ming, though, was heavier. I mean, I wasn't fat or anything like that.
7'6", 310 pounds.
Yeah. So this dude is
7'5", 210 pounds.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's crazy.
Now he won't be playing inside as much, but he'll be moving more.
And that's what worries me about him. Because Yao, I mean, it's run forward, forward, forward. It's not much lateral movement at that position. It was a drop step. So
Correct.
lateral scares me with these kids. And now I'm not bagging on Victor. I understand he is a phenomenal talent.
Right.
I'm just saying it's not the end of the world for the Pistons. If Troy Weaver is a legit GM and we believe in him and he goes and gets the right coach, which we will talk about on a later episode this week, I think that you can still compete in the East. Don't forget, this guy's going out west.
Right. Actually, in the hockey draft, the same thing. Bedard, we didn't get him, but he's going to the West.
So don't worry about that. And the Spurs are not winning anytime soon with him.
No.
Go look
They're
at that.
They're going to be in the lottery next year.
They very well could be. And who knows, but I just want to say it's not a conspiracy against the Pistons.
No.
It's not at all.
And it's not a conspiracy for the Spurs either.
And go look at the odds. Their best odds were number 5 at
right.
50-50, right?
Yeah.
Just about.
Mm-hmm.
That I felt that's
now they had the best odds to get a top 4 pick.
Sure.
Which they didn't, but
they didn't.
Right.
And you know what? And teams adjust, right?
Yeah.
When the Chicago Bulls didn't get first overall and get Akeem, what did they do? They adjusted, right? I mean,
yes.
Teams adjust.
Yeah.
That's my only thing. So if we still believe in Cade Cunningham, because let's not forget, you just won that lottery a couple years ago.
Correct. If we believe in Jaden Ivey, we believe in Jalen Duren.
Yes.
Then you have your core young nucleus.
Now you just got to believe in the coach and the GM.
And you have to believe in the GM, not even so much about this 5th pick, as far as what are they going to do to get the roster better besides the draft pick. And I mean, making trade
to make it competitive.
Or free agent.
I'm
I don't
sick
care
of
who it is.
This 20-win crap.
Yes.
That's over.
And don't just spend money to spend money. And you know what's going to end up? It'll be Jeremy Grant coming back here.
Oh, yeah.
Well, he's a good player, but he's not a difference maker, right?
And I don't think he's a player that this team
right.
needs, but
and you
I digress.
And you look at the free agent list.
It sucks. We've gone over it.
I mean, the best free agent out there is somebody that nobody wants.
James Harden.
Kyrie.
Or Kyrie. But both those guys.
Right.
Who wants either of those guys?
Nobody.
At the amount of money that they're going to command. They're $40 million a year, and that's on the low end.
Right.
So,
I mean, are you going to go restricted free agent?
I don't think we're getting Jaylen Brown anymore either, like we've talked about. He's about to get paid, huh?
Well, maybe the Pistons can pay him.
Maybe, and maybe that would be worth it. But then you're busting up something else. And so I guess to circle back on why I started with Troy Weaver is last summer, the summer before, all of the fans, me included, you included, were praising this guy.
Yeah.
Loving his moves, aggressive, getting what he wants. We love what he does in the drafts. Have we soured off of that, Stoney?
A little bit, because some of the people that he drafted have not panned out like we thought. Now, I never thought Killian was going to be that good anyway, because we didn't know.
No, right? But at the end of the day.
But everybody was loving Beef Stew and Sadiq Bey.
Correct.
Beef Stew's a good role player. All right? That's what he is. Sadiq Bey is an Atlanta Hawk.
But and Stoney,
they took a chance on Wiseman, and maybe that'll pay off. We don't know. It's way too early for him too.
And that was low risk, in my opinion.
They're all low risk moves, but
Bagley's questionable still. I mean,
yeah, I know.
You traded assets that really didn't matter to you, and Kelly Olynyk, and what was the other one? And oh, by the way, you see Bruce Brown last night. Oh, God, that irritates me.
Did Weaver make that trade, or was that before he got here?
I think that was before he got here. That was one of the last stand moves. I just think that even if at the end of the day, if Killian Hayes and Isaiah Stewart end up being great role players on your team, that's not a failure of a draft, because you've got piece. The team's only 12 deep.
Right.
Flat out, right? So if you got 2 of those 12 out of that draft, your very first draft, and let's be honest, like, could you have gotten Halliburton? Sure, but he's already been moved. So
you could have got the other Tyrese.
Well, yeah, Maxey.
Yeah,
who doesn't have a left hand, but
I don't care.
He is very, very good, but I just think in today's day and age, you need an absolute superstar to compete. If you look at what Jokic is doing, and Troy Weaver said it on Tuesday night. You got the number 1 pick in the draft going against the 41st pick in the draft in Jokic, right?
Yeah.
Now, how many times are we going to get Jokic out of number 41? That's probably it.
Try to get him out of 5.
But even I
think they have the first pick in the second round.
Caldwell Pope is playing well for them.
I know.
Wasn't he a 5th overall pick? Or was he like 7? I couldn't remember.
They could have had Giannis in that draft, if I'm not mistaken.
No,
Actually, I wanted them to
Trey
take.
Burke.
No, I want them to take the guy who actually was Rookie of the Year,
Brogdon?
Michael Carter Williams.
Oh, yeah. Is he even in the league anymore?
No, he was part of the process.
He was the original process. But that's just that right there is the prime example of why you just can't put all of your eggs in the number 1 overall pick.
Right.
Look at the amount that the Philadelphia 76ers have had.
Yeah.
Everybody talked about Markelle Fultz being this elite scorer in the NBA. He gets to Philly and can't even shoot a basketball
Right,
anymore.
he's got mental problems, obviously, and now he's actually turned out to be a
think
pretty
about
good
how
player.
crazy that is for a moment. Okay, we're here in Detroit, Michigan. We have a baseball player on the Detroit Tigers that's going through anxiety issues in Austin Meadows, and nobody says a thing about him, and we want him to get better and everything like that. Markelle Fultz and Ben Simmons, these guys are dragged through the ringer about how they can't get it done. They have the same issues going on, but they choose to go out on the court. And when they don't go on the court, they get heavily criticized for not getting on the court. I mean, go look at like Chuck Knobloch back in the day. Mental, like no other. Couldn't throw to first base.
Steve Sachs, Mackie Sasser,
Josh Beckett. All of these guys get heavily criticized. And I just wonder why in the sport of basketball do they get railroaded for not playing because of mental stuff. But yet in baseball, it's like you can't say a word about the guy.
Well, because it doesn't come out that it's mental issues. It's with Fultz.
But it is. You know what I mean?
We know it is, but like Austin Meadows, they talked about it. Kevin Love, they talked about.
Yeah.
I mean, he came out.
So is it just that they're not coming out fully with what's wrong?
Right. You can assume that Ben Simmons in a big playoff game doesn't want to take a layup.
It's wild that you could even think about that kind of stuff in that moment. You know what I mean?
And he had the balls to troll the Sixers.
Oh, and watching that game?
Yeah.
That's something else. But so those are 2 first overall picks.
Right.
Though they were highly hyped. Ben Simmons was very hyped coming out of college at LSU.
Come on, he's from Australia for crying out loud.
Look at his skill set. He's the next Kevin Durant. If he learns how to shoot, yada, yada, yada.
And he never, really, he didn't do much in college either at this 1 year at LSU, right?
No, he was a good player, but he didn't make the tournament or anything. And think about that. Like, if you're an elite player in college, I don't know if it was you guys talking or who, but like Amani Bates, if you're that good, you should have led Eastern to a MAC championship, dude.
Exactly.
Like, it's just flat out. So my whole thing here is the sky is not falling for the Pistons. If you believe in Troy Weaver, Cade Cunningham, Ivy, and Duren.
Well, as far as the number 1 pick, first overall, you're correct. But I haven't looked. Maybe we will for the next pod. I wonder where the number 2 overall pick or the number 3 overall. Well,
I bet they have a better chance.
Well, Michael Jordan was the 3rd, right?
Yeah.
There you go, right there.
Oh, look at Dwayne Wade was the 3rd.
No, Dwayne Wade was
Carmelo was 3rd. That's right.
Dwayne Wade was 5th.
Yeah.
Hey, there we go.
There we go.
Pistons could get their. You know who else was 5th? De'Aaron Fox. So maybe, I'm looking at some of the number 1s, they didn't, lead them to championships, but they were really good players. Grandmama and C. Webb and Iverson.
All right, I got them all right here, Stoney. Where do you want me to start?
The number 2s?
No, I got number 5s.
Okay.
Since that's where we're at.
Yeah, I saw some of them. A lot of them I don't even know who they are, and some of them are great players.
Let's start recent.
Yeah. Well, Ivy.
Okay.
He's
Suggs.
a pretty good player.
Okoro.
Yeah.
Darius Garland. Pretty good player.
Pretty good player.
Trae Young. Depends on what you think about him.
Right.
I think he's one hell of a player.
Hell of a player, kind of not a guy you want on your team.
De'Aaron Fox.
Yeah.
Chris Dunn.
Yeah.
Mario has.
Yeah. No.
Dante Exum.
No.
Alex Lynn. We're going down a slippery slope here. Thomas Robinson.
Yeah.
Jonas Valanciunas. He was a pretty good player.
Yeah.
DeMarcus Cousins, pretty damn good player.
Right.
Ricky Rubio, run of the mill. Like, you can find that guy.
He was disappointing.
Yeah. Kevin Love, one hell of a player.
Yes.
Jeff Green, I'm going to say it.
Good player.
Really good player.
He's still playing.
To this day. Sheldon Williams.
Yeah.
Raymond Felton.
No.
Devin Harris. Decent player.
He was good.
He was. Dwayne Wade.
Yeah.
Some dude the Nuggets drafted. Nikolov's.
Oh.
To
Shkavili.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everybody thought, Darko's going to be.
My guy, Jason Richardson, Mike Miller, Jonathan Bender, and Vince Carter.
Okay. Vince Carter's pretty good.
So there's a few in there.
But good.
I'll look over the second. Let me look over a second. Just
We know in 2003 it was
yeah. So you want to start from there?
Darko.
Then you got Emeka
We'll
Okafor,
start with 2000.
2000.
So this century.
Stromile Swift,
Oh man, what a disappointment he was.
Tyson Chandler, pretty good player.
Good defensive player.
Listen,
Really good
was he
defensive
worth the second overall pick?
no.
They also got who was it? Eddie Curry in that
Oh, my
draft. Two
God.
high school guys.
Oh.
And I think they went back to back, like 2 and 3 or
Yeah.
something like that. Jay Williams, cut short,
Yes.
but he was one hell of a player coming out of college.
Yes,
he
he
was
was.
okay with the Bulls.
Yeah, 1 year, and then he
Yeah.
had the motorcycle accident.
Darko, championship. I
That's
mean,
right. That's right.
Shut the door, man.
Exactly. He's
Shut
got
the
a ring.
door.
He's got a ring.
Emeka Okafor, pretty damn good player.
Good player.
But didn't lead him to anything. How about this one? If you went to any games at the Palace back in the day, Marvin Williams. Williams.
He killed the Pistons.
Marvin. LaMarcus Aldridge.
Good,
Solid-ass
good,
player.
Yeah.
Kevin Durant. He is what he is. Did not win it with the Seattle Supersonics, though.
No.
Michael Beasley.
Good player, but kind of a head case.
Former Detroit Piston, Hasheem Thabeet. Remember, he played in like the preseason. He was on like the initial roster.
He was Syracuse, right?
Yeah. He was one hell of a player. Evan Turner.
Yeah.
Derek Williams.
Evan Turner was Philly, right? He was part of the process.
Yeah. No, he was a little bit before the process. Like right before.
Right. You said Derek Williams?
Derek Williams. Michael Kidd-Gilchrist.
Yeah.
Oladipo.
Yeah, he's a good player.
Jabari Parker.
Yeah.
He's already out of the league.
I know.
D'Angelo Russell. Here's where it gets interesting. The Lakers had 3 in a row. D'Angelo Russell, who left and now came back, so he might have a chance.
Right.
Brandon Ingram, Lonzo Ball. Those 3 in a row. All like 2 of them
are gone, right?
Yeah. Lonzo Ball may never play again with the knee injuries
and Ingram's
he has.
a really good player.
Piston legend Marvin Bagley.
Yeah.
John Morant.
Okay, well, hopefully you'll.
Piston legend James Wiseman.
Uh-huh.
Jalen Green and Chet.
Yeah.
So,
well, you know what's interesting about Jalen Green? You hear rumors that they're trying to get rid of him because he's just a bad guy.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you want to do third just since we're here?
Yeah.
And we can end it on that?
Yes.
Just to make people feel a little bit better. Since 2000, if you're watching on video, you'll like this one. You remember this guy, Darius Miles with the Clippers.
Oh, my God.
Actually, if you get a chance, there was a story a few years ago.
What he's doing now.
Yeah, it was like really damn good. I really enjoyed that one. Paul Gasol.
Good player.
Damn
Hall
good
of Famer.
player. Yeah. Mike Dunleavy, pretty damn good player.
He was good.
Never really won anything. Melo.
Yeah.
He didn't win nothing.
He didn't win anything, but he was a good player.
Piston legend, Ben Gordon.
Oh, my God.
This is a good Darren Williams.
Darren Williams is a hell of a player.
Hell of a player.
I liked him as a player.
This guy flamed out. You remember him most from crying in the NCAA tournament.
Oh, Adam Morrison.
Yep. Could he, man? Talk about falling off the face of the earth, man.
I know. I was good to see him in that commercial
during
the tournament.
Al Horford. You can't complain about that, man. He's still playing right now at a high level.
The NBA MVP can't even score on him.
Okay, here's a guy that had the hype of LeBron James, OJ Mayo.
Okay, he did have hype.
Just like LeBron out of high school. They talked about this kid like he was the next everything. James Harden.
James Harden, very good player.
Here's one that kind of flamed out. Derek Favors. He did not pan out.
Georgia Tech, right?
How about this one? I can't even believe he went third. Enes Kanter. Fredo.
Good, yeah. Good role player. But he hardly ever played in Kentucky because of remember that? He had he couldn't play.
Bradley Beal, damn good.
Damn good player.
Otto Porter Jr.
Role player.
Embiid, MVP.
Yeah, MVP.
Detroit Piston legend, Dalil Okafor.
Yeah.
Back to back for the Celtics. I think they did pretty good with this one in Brown and Tatum.
Yeah, I'd say so.
And Brown was questionable. Remember him coming out of Cal? People were questioning that pick.
Tatum just the fact that the Sixers traded.
I'm sorry, man.
It's just.
I'm sorry.
They could have screwed Danny Ainge so much. They could have traded up and then taken Tatum, because that's all Ainge wanted.
Luka.
Yeah, pretty good player.
Pretty good player.
Pretty good player.
RJ Barrett. He's a pretty good player with the Knicks.
Yeah.
He's off and on. Has he lived up to his potential? No.
But he.
LaMelo Ball, the jury's still out on him. When he's on the floor, he's great.
Yep.
Problem is he can't stay out there. Evan Mobley, I'm going to say that was a home run for Cleveland, man.
Yes.
He's one hell of a player.
He's really
and he's an Evan, so I'm obviously biased towards him. And then Jabari Smith, and
jury's still out.
Right, we don't know. So at the end of the day, does it suck, Stoney?
Yes.
Yes, it sucks. But does it mean that the Pistons can't win?
No, they have to get better other players. They have to hopefully the 5th pick will hit. Well, chances are he's not going to be rookie of the year. And if he is, he can save this podcast. And go sign somebody really good in free agency or make a good trade.
And we will
be bold.
And we will on Restore the Floor go through options at the 5th pick. I thought it was unfair to do today with the initial mock drafts that came out. It's the Twins that are linked to them. There's if they draft another big and the big out of Houston, I swear to God, Stoney.
Oh, Walker?
I am boycotting for a moment. I cannot deal with another big.
Whitmore from Villanova is becoming
You like him? That's another name that I see.
Him play enough.
He's 6'6". He's a wing. He can jump out the gym.
Yeah.
We'll see.
We'll see with all of them. I know. So, yes, another version of Restore the Floor. We'll look at the head coaching possibilities for this team coming up. And a few more names were added this week. I don't know if they're serious about them or not, but it does make it a little more interesting.